Hey guys, and welcome to another Building 101 video. Today is episode 21 and we will be talking about atmosphere. Atmosphere can mean many things. It could go from a tree to a pond to something on some grass, landscape, houses, some scenery around the house, little tiny stuff like a chest or some trapdoor detail. Anything could mean atmosphere. So, I'm going to try and go in depth as I can by giving you a few examples of some stuff. I recently streamed me making this episode. I made part of it, and some of it I'm going to do in a little bit. So what you're seeing, what I'm recording right now, is right after the stream. So there will be more than what is shown right here in a few minutes as the video progresses. So, let's talk about atmosphere. So before I start, I usually don't do this, but I want to ask you guys, if you guys enjoy these Building 101 videos, they take a little bit to make, a little while to make, so I would really appreciate if you guys can click that like button. It really helps out a lot, and I only say this at the end, but this time only I'll say it in the beginning. So, yeah, let's get started. What you're seeing right here is some storage crate area, you know, some barrels. You can even add a beer keg by doing this and then put not a trap door, like a tripwire hook right there to make it look like a beer keg, but that's another story. But this can mean atmosphere. Now, we are in a flat world, we're not in some kind of town or pre-built town, but right here, you have to imagine that this place is a whole town. Now, what you'll see in some of these villages that people will make, there will be some storage crates, whether they're using a texture pack or not. But this is my default version that I use to recreate that effect. So, you know, it's just a nice effect. You can put stuff in here if you want, but you have to imagine, like, let's say this is some house by a port, you know, there'd be stuff coming in, so then there's just a bunch of barrels and chests and stuff. It's a nice atmosphere type thing to do. Now, this is one of the many, again, examples of atmosphere that you can do to villages, towns, biomes, and everything. So this is just an example, and, you know, just a little teaser or sort of taste to the word atmosphere. Now, on stream they said build a tree. So I built many trees on Building 101 before and many other videos as well. So I decided to spice it up a little bit and sort of make it into a biome. Now, with the power of World Edit, I could make this a taiga biome or whatever and change the grass color, which I would do, but sadly no World Edit in Snapshot. Basically, there's many different types of atmosphere here. Now, in snow biomes, you don't see more than one layer of snow. They've tried this in a snapshot before, but it caused a lot of lag, so they just keep it as one. But you, of course, can manually put that there, which doesn't take too long at all. So what do you see on the tree? You see very few leaves with some snow on top, because, well, it's snowing, and a few leaves because, well, it's a snow biome. You're not going to see, or taiga, whatever it's going to be, you're not going to see many leaves on the trees. Now, if you're talking about some kind of pine needle tree where they, you know, keep all the water in and keep their needles, that's a whole different story, but we're playing Minecraft here, so you get the picture. But this is a medium-sized tree, as you can see. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And now another atmosphere thing, besides that in the tree, you see that I have some sort of pathway hidden, part of it at least, which is here. That is also atmospheric, as well as the ice on the water and little bits of ice floating. And the riverbed can also be atmospheric as well, depending on how you do it. If it's all dirt, it's going to look pretty ugly. Don't do that. You want to get a mixture of gravel, stone, andesite, new favorite block, and maybe a little cobble if you wanted to. But yeah, that is another example of atmosphere. And again, atmosphere with paths are very useful. If you have some kind of house or some kind of village, you need a lot of pathways to connect things up, and you want to add some flowers to it to give it some kind of look that you're looking for. That look that you're looking for is atmosphere, and this does the trick a lot of the time. So find a pathway that you like. This is just one example. Again, I've done many of these on my LPs, on my Building 101, and all these build series that I have. So find a path that suits you and use it. This right here is something new that I discovered. This really isn't a specific thing for atmosphere, and I sort of stole this idea from a person on Revand. Of course, I recreated it, and he used a texture pack, so this one's a lot different and a lot more complex and has a lot more blocks. So, this does not have, a sort of style to it, but it does help with atmosphere and detail. So, for example, you have some kind of landscape here. Let's say, again, use your imagination because we are on a flat world. There's some hills over here, whatever. There's landscape right here. So I decided, as the builder, to carve out a little area and have a little tiny walkway, which I thought was really cool when I found this on the Revan server. And you just have a steep drop with some stone wall. There. Of course, I did my own remix with the andesite, the cobble, stone walls, and the different types of stairs and half slab placements which I put. So I think that's a really cool look. So if you have some kind of landscape that you're trying to fix up, or maybe put some kind of building or a structure, this might work for you. If you have some building, let's say that this building is on a hill over here, and yes, it's not finished because I only needed that side, and I didn't finish it for the sake of time. Let's say this building's on a hill, and then there's a door coming out from that side. You walk through, do all of that. Once you're walking through, you have a nice little pathway, a nice secret kind of pathway, and then you have this steep drop to connect it all up. And plus, you have the pathway as well to add more detail, and the bone meal as well. And you can add a bush, a tree overhanging. A lot of stuff can be done with this right here. So yeah, that is also another example of atmosphere. This is also a look that I took off of the Revan server from the same guy, except he used a little cheaty texture pack which used glass to make some sort of fog thing. He had a cave like this, and with some light up top, and he used this cheaty glass to look like very, very clear ice, or it almost looked like just completely clear but foggy. So I'm thinking to myself, what if I can make water look very murky in a cave? Let's say there's a bridge here. You're standing in the bridge, you're walking across, then you look down and you see a nice murky water or dark, spooky, gray ice. And this, I think, achieves the look. Now you see the ice, it's very tiny because, again, we're on default texture pack, so there's only so much I can do. But we were speculating and testing stuff out, and Nick Goss, who, that's also another problem, but you just use glass. We were speculating on how to make it look very foggy and dim and have a little light below. So that's about 3 blocks of ice down there. And what I did is I put glowstone there, glowstone there. Of course, I probably should have changed that water block that melted right there to light blue stained glass right here that I have. So, but you see what I'm going for. You see that it's nice and foggy down there. Nice and foggy. So, but I have a torch up here adding the light. If I took this torch right here, put it right there, it's not gonna look good. Of course, I'm being dramatic and putting it there, but even if I did that, it'll look weird. So I like that look. So if you're trying to achieve some kind of dark, spooky water look or spooky ice look, or just this right here, use glowstone so the torch doesn't get rid of itself when the water melts or the ice melts. And yeah, put some glass instead of ice like I did over there, and you'll achieve a nice look like that. And you can add as many lights as you want, of course. This could be a huge pool of water. Okay, now we have another lighting effect that I've used many times in Building 101, all throughout my LPs, and pretty much every cave that I've been in that I've designed myself for me. I always use this effect. I've used this in my sewers in the Revan server. I've used these in many of the servers that have been on the Vortex LP servers, and it's very simple. It only uses 2 blocks, the torch and the cobblestone wall. It adds a nice lighting effect, and you can see here there's no torches around, and if I remove that, it gets really dark, or if I move that there, it gets really dark. If I don't, that's that. So that's really cool. You guys have probably seen this. I've figured it out right when the cobblestone walls came out, so it's a nice little invention of mine, except I know many people use it, so it's not really an invention. I like to say that to myself. So just a torch, put a bunch of cobblestone walls. You don't necessarily need those down there, but I do it because I'm in creative mode. And yeah, that's a cool effect, and that also adds to atmosphere to make it a nice spooky lighting. And you can also do stuff in caves like add some mossy stone brick or cobwebs. The list goes on and on and on. So, I'm giving you just a few examples of this, and this could be actually a two-part series. Like episode 30 might be atmosphere part 2. We never know. So, yeah, that's another piece of atmosphere, as well as the mossy stone brick, cobwebs, and so on and so forth. Atmosphere could be as simple as a flower pot in front of a fence gate window, glass window. Doesn't matter. You can also make this a big flower pot by putting a grass block here and surrounding it, doing whatever you have to do. That could also, it could be a part of detail, depending on how you see it. I see it as both detail and atmosphere. It adds a nice, home-like feel. It's like the words house and home. They have two different meanings, and, I think this brings more of a home-like feel. Not to get all corny here, but, that's what it is. So, yeah, there's another little tip for you. And many people like to use this, and I think it looks nice. Atmosphere could be as simple as adding some spikes to a lava lake to make it look even more evil, I guess. It could be netherrack, it could be stone, cobblestone, whatever you have to do to make it that evil-like thing. Of course, this is a very small version, but you get the point of what I'm trying to show here. And, yeah, it gives it a nice look. So, I think I'm going to end it there. I can make this a two-part series, and if you want me to do that, I definitely will, and I'll make more than what I have here. Plus, I gave you some little side tips that I didn't even show. So, if you guys enjoyed this little mini atmosphere video, again, I say mini because there's so many atmosphere things that can be added. If you want a good example, go on the Revance server, check out a few good plots, and you'll see a lot of examples from a huge forest of custom trees where little spots of blocks are missing, so beams of light can come through. That's also atmospheric. Everything. I mean, everything can be part of atmosphere. I'm not going to say atmosphere again, starting now. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, please click that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already to see more LPs, building videos, and Building 101. And comment down below on some other topics that you want to see for episode 22, 23, 24, whatever. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.